Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at 7:30 a.m. in the council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street, Sandpoint, Idaho. And this is a regular monthly meeting of the Sandpoint Urban Renewal Agency Board of Commissioners. Roll call. For the record, I am Chairman Eric Paul. Also presiding are Commissioners Tom McCoy, Ned Brandenberger, and Jason Welker. Commissioners Kendon Perry and Marilyn Sabella are absent. Do I have to note that Ned's on Zoom? Okay. Just a quick note for the board. We do need to wrap this meeting up by 8 o'clock as there's another meeting in this room starting at 8. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the August 6th, 2024 meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Motion. So moved. Commissioner Welker. Second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Bacoe. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes and minutes approved.
I'll
Morning,
just
Jeremy.
abstain. So it wasn't there.
You abstain.
For things like, just a quick note, for things like minutes, which are just typical routine approvals, you do not need to abstain for those, just for future reference.
Thank you. Before we proceed, for those members of the public in attendance, there's no general public forum. Wait a minute, I have to announce it. Is there any members from the public here? Zoom.
Yep.
Okay, so you could disregard that. Next item on the agenda, we'll have a general reports and announcements. Before we hear from city staff parking lot update, I'll just ask the clerk to display the monthly financial report in case anyone has questions regarding this report. I'll let you guys read it. If you have any questions. Any questions? At this time, I'll yield the floor to construction manager Eric Bush for an update on the downtown parking lot project. Eric, floor is yours.
Good morning.
And you're on the
everyone.
timer.
Give me 1 second to get my screen shared. Is that on my end, Melissa, that it's small? I just wanted to bring this up so I could kind of talk through kind of where we're planning here. Last month, I told you all we would likely be out to bid at this time. We decided to kind of reconsider this for a second and take a pause. Myself, Mayor Grimm, Mr. Welker, and a handful of other folks from City Hall a couple of weeks ago sat down and we're kind of going through our alignment for the parking lot and our redesign layout. And all of us, I think, collectively were a little bit nervous that we were really trying to rush this to get it in this fall. And we kind of decided in that meeting to collectively take a pause and our engineer Van Houten Consulting Design is working on a proposal for me for a design revision to include a removal of the north and south entrances on the parking lot and construct a new entrance along 3rd Avenue, right? If you can see where my cursor is. And this would result in a single entrance to the parking lot as opposed to 2. That would allow us to install, kind of a gated control measure for the parking lot. It also allows us to realign kind of how the stalls are laid out and simplify things for our plowing crew in the winter. Also simplify things for everybody that's going into the parking lot. There's, as I mentioned last month, there's a handful of locations in the parking lot where we don't really comply with our own parking requirements as far as length and width and aisle width and all those sorts of things. So eliminating those 2 entrances and considering an entrance on 3rd Avenue will allow us to basically resolve almost all of those issues. We're still going to have a handful of things that are a little bit weird just due to our constrained dimensions of the kind of rectangle of the parking lot as a whole. But this will allow us to take a step back for a second and make sure we're really considering everything and getting it right.
Eric, if you may, sorry. So what became really clear, this is Jeremy, for those who can't see me, Mayor Sandpoint. as we're looking at this, the two center, swales, which aren't really swales, they're, inverted, they're not inverted
Mounds.
swales, they're mounds.
Yeah.
Thank you. It became pretty obvious that, we'd have to do those parking stops, you know, those 6 foot long cement, things that stop. Turns out that becomes a problem with plowing because it adds hours and hours for every plow job and they end up hitting them and peeling them back. So it ended up being a situation where those mounds, we said, well, if those go away, you can actually park without those cement stops. So once we started looking at and realizing there was a number of those trees that were going, we're gonna save some in those mounds. We said, well, at least in my mind, a light bulb popped out and I said, we're kind of reconfiguring this whole thing. And that's where the conflict on Church and Oak came in. I frequently observe as I'm driving between Galehe and Joel's north on Third, I see people trying to exit and enter on a busy Church Street. I see people talking across the corner to their friends, waiting for their burritos. It's just a really active portion of the road. And I said, well, let's put it up on Third, which is a much quieter street. And we eliminate those two pedestrian vehicular conflicts on Oak and Church. And even better, we have a single in and out for traffic control. And everyone was, validated. We took some time and thought about it. I'm not thrilled that we're kicking this down to the spring, but for a couple thousand more, the engineer's gonna redesign it with that entrance. And I think it's gonna be a much better project and serve us more functionally with that reverted design to Third. So I'm sorry, I apologize for changing that and slowing this down, but better to get it right than fast. It's been years in the making.
And to Mayor Grimm's point, as we, kind of look, as we look, on this corner here, at Church and Third, Joel's, kind of corner lot across the street is, a pretty much public gathering space in the summer. You go out there and there's, people all over. And I constantly see people darting back and forth across Church to the parking lot where they've likely parked. And it's a major safety concern. I'm worried about that every time I go in that area. So we can really, minimize some of those potential conflicts and improve, and it's going to improve the function of the parking lot as well. So.
Well, the traffic will ease a little bit with the realignment of Pine because that is our route through.
It will.
But still, to your point, you get some vehicles in there, you can't see, you're
Mhm.
edging out, then
Yep.
people are trying to cross and I'm in
Yep.
the park, I'm in the
And-
crosswalk and they're looking at me, it's like, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah, you're looking both ways for
Right,
the
yeah.
oncoming traffic.
And then someone's pulling out of the parking lot
Yeah,
and someone's crossing,
and
so
then
it's
somebody's backing out at Joel's, we
right,
can't see.
it's not good, so. And then the parking for whatever we're gonna do on the paid parking there, that single queuing in out is much preferred where, you come in on the right, exit on the left.
Yeah, you're not backing up the
You
whole.
can even have a consolidated machinery there that does the out off of one gate and the in off of the
Yeah.
other. So our public works people loved it. They said, wow, we can plow that thing without those curb stops much more efficiently with the grader and just run it down and run it back. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Sorry, we'll have to maybe look at the budget because we were hoping to put some of this into the current fiscal year, and we'll have some of the design in it, but yeah, that's where we're at. And we'll work with the Arts Commission on their portion of it, so the plan now is this spring, we'll break ground before and get this done before summer tours.
So what's the build time?
Once we're under construction, this project can be done. If it's in the spring, we may have to, spring's more difficult to construct because we have wet soils and we have a lot of rain, but if weather conditions are good, I think this project can be done in 3 weeks. It's a lot of surface area, but if the right contractor comes in, with the right equipment, they can really make it
Go, yeah.
Yeah.
The one big special event in the spring to keep track of is the Boston.
Boston, the
Fifties.
Fifties,
Trying to get this
absolutely.
done well before that.
Yeah. Yep. And that'd be a great, here's our new, public parking lot. At one of our biggest events of the year.
Would we switch the mounds to swales?
That's an option, but we're likely looking at removing those mounds and creating, tree wells for, especially on this eastern, island where we do have some trees that are, healthy and good. That we want to keep. We're gonna create tree wells, squares or rectangles around them and duplicate that on the other, over on this side. But we may also look to the flow of this parking lot may change. We're gonna look to maximize efficiency and maximize safety and how you can get around it. So we're gonna keep the trees we were gonna keep anyways. And hopefully this gives us an opportunity to add a few more and really kind of bolster the aesthetics.
Great, I think it's a much better plan.
Yeah, we were collectively like, it just gives you pause when you try and push something so quickly. We could absolutely get it done, but we want to make sure we get it right.
Right.
So.
So, and then there is some development in the area within a couple blocks of this. One of the developers has reached out and asked for just a high level meeting to see if city and SER would be interested in working with us, kind of shared partnership on the lot. I want to get it done this spring, so I think that's probably unlikely, but I will get back to you and maybe pull you in if there is a interesting opportunity to work with a developer on that, but I'm not super interested in it right now. I want to get this functional but we'll see. So, it's dynamic.
Well, thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. No other old business. We'll move on to new business. The final item on the agenda, the board will consider payment of the city for reimbursement for downtown streets projects. If you have any questions on the reimbursement for $475,000 as budgeted towards invoices number 381 and 460. Motion,
Move to approve the payment.
thank you. Commissioner Bakoe, seconded by Commissioner Walker. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes and this payment will be made as approved. No further business on the agenda will adjourn at 7:43 a.m.
Plenty
Everybody,
time to spare.
yeah.